Good morning. Good morning. So this will be my Sunday outlook for the week. See how things are going to go. Um, just going to run through the pairs, see where I have my zones marked up, and what I'm actually waiting on. So start at the top. I got 28 pairs that I go through and look on for possible entries, possible situations I can get myself into the market. So Oddcat, I have these two daily zones marked up. I normally might buy here because it was a previous support, but seeing that we're making lower lows and lower highs on the way down, I'm just possibly I'm going to wait for this area to be broken, come back and retested. So I have an alert set in both locations. We'll see how that one goes. Odd CHF. We have an area that's already been respected before. It's already broken through. Come back. We had a small test earlier that bounced away nicely. So what all that I'm looking for is another test back up into the zone and an entry to buy, and or an entry to sell. If the market goes against me for a little while, that's okay. I got another zone up here that looks like would provide some resistance. So I've been doing getting into hedging and practicing with that and scaling it at particular other levels such as this. So if I get into a sell here, for some reason it starts going against me, I will wait and hold it until we get up to here, look to enter a sell here, and if it bounces here down, then I'll close out my profitable sell and then possibly get this sell down here at break even. And so that'll be my current game plan for that. For odd CHF, odd JPY. Looks like we've been bouncing here for a little while. We have no real solid structure. So if the price gets back down here by Monday, I will more than likely take a buy here. Once again, using that same concept idea under odd CHF. If for some reason it breaks through, then I'll be looking to get into another buy here to ride it back up. Other than that, I don't see it coming all the way up here before testing this area, but if it does, then this is a possible another area for a short, seeing how structure is formed on the way up. We'll see how that goes. Odd NZD, I sort of missed the alert that came down here on last week, and it came down there quickly, pinned rather nicely down that way. And so we'll see how it plays out. I still got another alert down here. Waiting for it to come back. If it gets in there, if it gets down in there, then I'll probably take a buy back to the highs, and then we'll see how that goes. Odd USD. Looks like we're in a nice little downtrend here. Just waiting for a price to come back into this zone here as a break and retest as its first real test, because as soon as it broke through, it didn't really have a test. If you got really precise, you might go with something like that as the break and the retest. But given how the structure is forming on a bigger picture, I would say that you'd be a little bit too close to price to take out of the consideration the fact that all this is the push, the pullback, the push, the pullback, and all of it's nice and flowing about the same size for each time. So to come down in there and call that the break and retest, I don't know. It just doesn't fit me, doesn't suit me. So I'll be waiting for that. I don't think we have any. I have no real clear levels way down here. Back in 2020, it dropped all the way down here. I do have an alert set down there. We'll see how price reacts down that way, but I'm not really looking to do anything. I would like structure to be formed over here and work with that versus use that way down there. Chad CHF, CAD CHF, Chad, CAD CHF. Looks like we're in downturn structure, so I'm just waiting for a pullback to this zone here around the 735 area for a possible sell. We'll see how that goes. We do have this area over here as a support. I did not mark that out, although it would have played out really nicely had I paid attention to it. So I'd like to see price come back up here before coming back down here. And then once again, looking for that to break through and then come back and retest. So we'll see how that goes, see how that plays out. Canadian JPY. We are ranging through here, so I could take another bounce of this area. The last bounce did break the previous highs, so that is a good sign. So this is another possibility to get back in. If we had gotten back in, if price had not broken the previous highs, I could still use it, but I would really have to depend on how structure is forming on the way down from these highs down to this low. If I started seeing actual lower lows and lower highs, then I would probably be a little more concerned if it was something like this as it was coming back into this area. I'd be careful of this because that seems more of a downtrend, and there's probably a higher probability that it'll break through this zone given that downtrend structure. But if it just comes into the zone much like this did, and just shoots into that zone and then gives you a nice rejection, bullish rejection, then I would get in on that. So see how this works out, see how this plays out. CHF JPY, same thing. Looks like we're coming back into the zone. I'm not sure if I'll buy it now, given looking at this structure here. I'll have to see how what plays out here, if this fizzles out or anything like that. This could still be a solid retest. Yes, we've had a wick candle in here that looks like it was more than likely news, given the size of the wick, size of the candle in comparison to the rest of the candles, as well as the retracement on the up and down. So with that being news related, I'll probably ignore it as the first retest, and given this next one would probably be a viable opportunity to get in. So I'll see how that one plays out. Euro AUD, we were at the level last week. I did not take a trade because it was Friday and we were just getting into it. As price had already pushed up in here and wicked and then started to pull away. I was waiting for it to come back and give me another entry, and it became Friday before I decided, yeah, I'll just wait and see how things play out on Monday. So if the market opens up today and is a little bit further deeper into this area, and then by Monday morning has still not left this area, I'll more than likely take a sell from this area and see where we go with that. EuroCAD. EuroCAD has this area in here. I'm not really sure I like it, only because there hasn't been really any big interaction with it. It is kind of choppy. It's rangy in here. This area looks better for me when given if you take into consideration those wicks there. With this price action here, it hovered here before it finally shot off. And so given that it originated from this point here, this would be a stronger zone for me than this one. And now that price is up here, it has not fully broken through and kept away. It's been in this area and hasn't really moved. So I will go ahead and I'm going to delete that out and just wait. And so those are my two areas right now that I'm looking for. Once again, the same area down here is the reverse of this one. The only thing that really got to move was this zone down here, and that's what pushed this one up. So leaving these two zones there, and I'll just be patient on those. Plenty of opportunities with 28 pairs to look through. I should not have to force anything, but if you've been with me for any bit of time, you know that sometimes that happens. You get afraid that you're going to miss the move. You're going to get antsy about wanting to make a trade, and so you make bad choices. And so I make bad choices. Keep watching me and you'll see me make even more bad choices. So here, same thing. We had a nice test and pull away from that one. That would have been a nice entry to get in. I did not miss that. I'm not sure why I did miss that. I'm not sure why I missed that. But if price happens to just dip back in here a little bit before it actually takes off again, then I'll go ahead and take this as an entry. We'll see where that goes. Euro JPY, same thing. We're ranging between these two areas. If price gets back up in here, given this recent push drop away, I'll probably take another one because I would be expecting possibly another drop away somewhere to that level there. So if price gets back up in here and then drops away, that's a good halfway point between the two zones that I could take profits at and be comfortable with. With the overall bias of it still being an uptrend, given these higher lows, higher highs on the way up. I'm expecting price to break out. Really not hope or expect. It's just a matter of what is price going to do and then how can I get in. So if price breaks up, then I will be waiting for price to come back down here to retest, and I would probably close that sell maybe small loss, depending on, I might have gotten out of profit and then waited for it to go up. But if for some reason I get into a sell and it goes against me, I'd just be waiting for price to kick back over here, close my sell, and get into a buy for the continuation, seeing how all that plays out. And I'll try to keep that going, updated, see how things go. Euro NZD, nothing really. Oh, I guess I do have zones up here. So right now it seems to be in no man's land. I didn't have, like, you could look at something like that as an area. You'd have a nice strong reaction there. This is a test as well, but in the past you haven't really had anything else outside of that. It sort of whipped through this area, and so it wasn't respected. Given this one little wick here, I would have not have expected that to be a zone for a entry there. So it's like, I'm not too concerned about things like that. This was all the way back in February, so I definitely wasn't looking at it then. So not using that as a zone anyway. What I do have is just a break and retest of this area here, possibly come back in here, and then these highs up here that I'm using only because of the multiple tests here as price broke above and then came back down, and then a push away and then come back and the refusal to break higher once you got here. So we could likely be seeing that same exact thing here at least once, if not twice, when it gets to this area. Euro USD. USD, oh my goodness, has been dropping nicely. Look at that. And this is where, like, breaks and retests, if you just look at breaks and retests, although I guess you probably wouldn't have gotten in on that one, but like, you do have some solid breaks and retests all the way through, even as the alerts that are now set down here, like, have been playing out nicely. And given however you manage your trades, if you got into this one, you'd still be in this one. Actually, I think we were in this one last week. Nick Sean, I follow him. I follow a lot of people, but I know in his free Telegram group, he keeps track of all of his trades that he puts out there. One of the benefits of finding a good mentor is to see that they can back up what they say. And so Nick has been really good doing that. There's a few others out there as well that can put their money where their mouth is, so to speak. But I know he was in this trade as well, and took this, and I took this as well based upon the break and retest. So it was pretty good. So waiting for a price to come down here, possibly get another bounce. If not, then a breakthrough and a retest. And then these are solid zones that if price decides to start trailing upwards, that we can look for rejection out of or support out of, depending on how it works. Ranging between here, being the last area that pushed it down. Got it, cool. Same thing here. Just working with simple support and resistance, trying to find the obvious zones that where prices reacted to before, and looking to get in and capitalize on that. GBP CAD. That one's looking kind of ugly. I guess oh, there we go. Looking out at a much longer duration. Probably this would more than likely be like weekly zones. But if price can get in here, then it looks like we'd have a solid reaction to be able to at least push down. If not, we have this zone up here that has been tested daily, broken through, rejected there, came back, and has been respected ever since. So that's another area that if for some reason, if price goes against me, although that is a huge, 600 and 700 pips. That is a huge range in between there. So more than likely, I will not be doing anything as of if I get into a sell here and it goes against me, I'll more likely just close because that is a huge range to account for a drawdown. I'm expecting price to come back here and then push down. No, so I'll probably close and then see if I can get in for a buy to ride it back up here, and then just see how price reacts in these different areas. GBP CHF, I think we're running into the same thing with all GBP pairs where we are really, really low and far away from some zones, and GBP pairs just move a lot naturally to begin with. So that's one thing I got to remind myself in my risk management and my management of my trades, that GBP pairs move a lot. So I have to be careful with that. So very simple, just waiting for price to come back into this zone here. Take a sell. Here we go, ranging on GJ, but we have been in an uptrend for quite some time. So we'll see if we can break out of this range to the upside, to the downside. It really doesn't matter. We did look like we had a wick rejection through this area. Once again, that's probably news related. We can probably go back and see that that was news driven. So I'm not too concerned with that. This is still a solid area that I would look for buys back up to the highs of this range, and then sells from vice versa until it finally breaks out and does something different. We'll see how that goes. I'll try my hardest not to be in any of this mess in between it, though. Work on that psychology thing. GUP NZD, same thing here. I know I did have a zone here before, and it looked like it may have worked out nicely. I eventually deleted it, though, once I actually zoomed out a little bit higher and started looking out back here and realizing, yes, this may be a zone that it's was respecting for like most of 2022. But I'm not so sure if price will come back up here and then come back to this area again. Once it pushes away from this area, I'll redraw this zone there as being a support, because then it's showing valid. I do have a wick rejection there, so that is looking pretty good. We'll see how this next week plays out, though. If it can pull away, then I'll probably put it back in there. Until then I'm just waiting for price to get up on the higher low. GU falling down, looking for a break and retest here, possible support here, only because this is news driven all the way down here to nice little wick areas. I would only expect just a little bounce out of this thing, not too drastic. NZD CAD, break and retest, broke through the zone, coming back, waiting for a retest, and we'll see how that plays out. NZD CHF, I'm looking for this, but I have a feeling price is going to create some structure on the way up, and so we'll have to see how things go with that. I might get into some of the lower breaks and retests on the way back up here. Especially if it creates some really solid structure, some clean structure, then I'll try to work with that and see how that goes. NZD JPY is not going. Where you at? There you are. We've broken out of this range, come back and we've retested it, and it fell away. That was pretty, man. Why didn't I get in that? Why didn't I get in that? All right, that was pretty though. Break and retest out of the area, and then we got some strong risk rejections. That would have been really nice. I really should have gotten into that trade. I have no idea why I didn't. Did I get into an NZD JPY trade? I did not since the 28th. 28th would put me back over here someplace. So I don't know why I didn't follow up on that one. That would have been great. So same thing, waiting for price to come back down. It created some support, broke through, and came back and retested. So this is the kind of stuff that I'm waiting on. Like once you see that price has created a support and then finally breaks through and moves away from that area, coming back and using that as a zone works perfectly fine. What was the pair that I was looking at a second ago? And it's like, I don't know if I'll keep this as a zone right here. So same thing. We've created a resistance, and we've had a nice strong resistance. We've had a test of that resistance, but we have not pushed away like NZD JPY did. NZD JPY is pushed away now. And so now, yes, if price comes back into this level, that looks solid. Price came away for some time before coming back to this level versus GUP NZD. Oh no, that did the same thing. Not being consistent on that one. It doesn't look as nice as NZD JPY. Maybe because price hovered out here for a little while before coming straight back. Whereas why can't I remember which pair I'm looking at? There was strong up, strong down, continuation candle and rejection. I don't know. NZD JPY just looks nicer. It looks like a trade I would have taken more than the GBP NZD. And so I don't know. GBP NZD would have worked out better. Like once you got into this, it would have pushed away a whole lot farther. But I still forget which one it is. GBP and ZD has started to push away. So I mean, it's not both of them not bad. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. We'll see how next week turns out on that one, or this upcoming week. Same thing here, just waiting for price to come back into these levels. USD CAD. I have this resistance area marked up. It is kind of sloppy, and so that's why I'm a little bit hesitant. I'm a little bit unsure given this price area here, but I've put my alert deeper into the zone, so I'll see how the candles close and how price gets back to this zone before I actually look. And understand, I'm not going to be waiting every day. I'll come to the chart and I'll cycle back through to see, yes, where my zones are at, but how prices actually unfolded for that day or the day prior. And then reassess the situation, reassess the market, see how things are going. USD JPY, nice solid uptrend. It has been in an uptrend for quite some time though. I think we are at really, 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 really highs for like ever. So, I mean, I can't say that price won't continue going up because it could, but at some point in time, I feel like we should be pulling back. So I am hoping we'll be pulling back to the zone here. And if we get into there, then I'll be looking to get into a trade, bouncing up, or at least bouncing to the previous high. Previous high will be my first target. Like, but if it's going to go there, then that's what I'll be looking to get into, and then see how it reacts around this high. But if it looks like it's going to continue just muscling through, then I'll stay with it. But if for some reason this is the pivotal moment where it decides to go ahead and fall back down, then as price comes in here and it looks to get into a trade but breaks through on me, then I'll be doing the exact same thing as I've mentioned on a few of these other pairs, in which case I'll be either, depending on how quickly it goes away and how it plays out, I may be closing the buy and opening up a sell, or just waiting until price gets down here, taking another buy and bringing it back up to the high where I can take profit on the buy and close the original buy at a break even, maybe a small loss. So that has been working really well for me. This is all the stuff that I've been keeping track of my previous trades since I've started these accounts. I have 4 accounts that I run with I think they all start at $50 each. Yeah, that's about accurate. So some of my biggest losses were, I should not have had these losses. I should have done better with the hedging management. So like this one, I closed at a loss because I was ready to be done for being in this position for so long. But if we go back to OddCAD and we look how price eventually played out, where are we at on this one? This is the beginning of October. Price eventually came. Why can't I find where this is at? This is the hourly chart. Oh, that's why. Come here. Come here. And all the zones are different now. Yeah, so that's the 28th. 28th that we have down here. So that wick area there. Yep. So had I stayed, I could have closed that sell at actually break even, and then waited a little bit more for that buy to come back up into this area, because I was expecting price to come back to these zones and bounce from here, but I was impatient, and so I closed earlier than I should have and didn't manage the trade properly. So lesson learned, big lesson, big loss. It actually cut deep into my profits there. Same thing with GBP AUD. We can just look at that chart. That should show. I think those were two sells that I closed early. We looked at the beginning of October. GBP AUD on the daily. Oh, that's odd. That's odd, Cat. Come back here, GBP. There you are. Nice strong candle into a level here. Oh, is that where? Man, I'd already marked everything down, so I did not go back and look to see what I did. But I believe price eventually trailed down further into this stuff. Why can't I find it? Man, that's really bad. That's all right. That's all right. Two big losses that I could have managed better, much better. And so we'll see how that goes next time. So currently, what am I doing? Well, I'm trying to learn from my lessons now. I am in two trades from last week, actually from it's the week before. So the 29th. 29th, yeah. So the week before. The week before last week, I took a sell from here. Price broke above me, and I ended up taking a buy. Took a buy, closed it when I thought price was going to go higher. It started to stall out, so I actually closed it early before it actually played out really nicely. And I was like, okay, cool, let me get into another buy. And so I took another buy and another buy as price continued to go up. Once I got into the buys, I ended up closing. Closing once we got to this level here. I think it looked a little bit clearer on the 4 hour as a level here versus the daily, which I probably should have used the daily. Took a sell when I thought it was going to bounce from this daily. It did not. So I ended up closing I took a buy as a hedged it all the way up to the top. And then as it came back down, I closed the sell. I should have waited on that sell until it actually got into the zone, given that it's the daily level and this hasn't actually come back from the down or from the upside back into this level at all. I probably should have waited until it came down here and I would have been able to close more at break even. But as price came down into here and popped back up, I ended up taking a buy because I thought it was going to come back up into this area here, and it has not. So now I'm stuck right now between this buy and this previous sell that I have, and so they're both, it's hedged. I think I'm at like $100 loss, leaving at where it's at. This is on one of the accounts that has made it all the way up to $600, and so I'm at $100 loss as it sits right now. But I've expanded my zones out a little bit more. If price can bounce from here and come up here, I'll close the buy and then wait to see how price reacts with this area. If it looks like it's going to fall from this area, then I'll get into a sell, or just leave it and try to close this sell at a much lower loss than what I'm looking at right now, because I'll make profit on the buy on the way up. So we'll have to see how that goes. If not, and it breaks up higher, then I would make profit on the buy. We'll get back into a hedge, lock it in at another $100 loss still, while shaving off from these profits here. So we'll see how that goes. USD CHF, same thing, with the exception of the hedge. I'm not in a hedge on this one. I was down on the 4 hour time frame playing on zones down on this level down here. Looking down on looking back at the daily, it's like I should not have been doing that. Granted, I have successfully hedged myself a few times in and out. That's what the yellow, in case you didn't catch that, that's what these yellow arrows are. Those are my closed trades, whereas these are my open trades, the dotted lines. So I've successfully covered my loss as it sits right now. But given this area that we failed to break through on the 4 hour / daily, I'm looking for price to continue on down to either close this at break even, or for price to continue up here and still take a bounce down and then close it. If it gets up here, I more than likely will take another sell though, as we haven't been to this area in quite some time, and I expect to bounce from this area. Even if it's only to come back to this 4 hour zone right here, I'll take that little sell there. Maybe get to a point where I can take the sell here, and this sell and this sell up here will wipe that out as break even. The profits from this one and the loss from this one will be a net break even, and then I'll be profitable because I have taken two buys that have taken out a profit and a small sell loss, which I really think was really low on the management scale. So as it sits from there, that's it for the week. I will see how the week plays out. I don't know I'm trying to get better at, once again, it's been a journey. I'm trying to get better at keeping track of all this stuff. It's really, really difficult. Especially because in order to do it, I have to be at the computer. I've thought about trying to do it just through mobile, and I might start doing that. Not necessarily because the quality is not going to be the best. Um, I mean, the quality will be fine, but it's like being able to navigate on the chart on mobile is not as easy as it is with the computer. And so there's a lot of finger zooming and all this other stuff, and you just got to be careful. And it's I am more better trained, better trained. I have better practice doing everything on the laptop, and so I don't know. I'll have to see. I To stay consistent with it though, I might just have to bite the bullet and get on mobile. Um, we'll see how that goes. As it sits right now, though, I have thought about going through and because I've been part of many different groups. I have been keeping track of my forex education. Somebody asked me a while ago. I say a while ago. I guess it was last week. It was at lunchtime. We were talking about some stuff and just the different hobbies that we have. And they're like, you've been doing this for 4 years, almost 5 years now. It's like, how much have you invested in this and how much have you gotten back? And so I had to do the math. And I think all in all, I'm still currently, I've figured out how much I've spent in courses. And so I've spent about $7,000 in courses, in different courses, different lessons, different mentors. And each one I learned something new, or it instilled something that I learned before, but they addressed it in such a way that it was like, oh man, that was like one of those aha moments. And so $7,000 in courses, profitability, how much have I had? Well, I've covered my courses as far as putting money into an account and growing it. The first accounts that I went with, I easily 10x'd at $200, bumped it up to $2,000 in the course of like 3 months. And I did that a couple of times with a couple different denominations of $100, $1,000, things like that. And I was able to pull that out, and I did stuff with it. I paid off credit cards. I took me and the wife went on a small mini vacation. That was all paid for through that. And so I've tracked all that, and it's like, okay, I have more than enough. I've more than paid for my education. And so now what I'm working towards is trying to just compound my accounts to a point where I can consistently compound. Nick Sean, I mentioned him. He's one of my mentors. Love the crap out of him. He has this compounding mindset, and it's been working. It's been working really well. And so I would like to get to a point where I can compound accounts bigger, so I can actually then start managing the risk percentage better. Not saying that the compounding there isn't some sort of risk management there. There is, and it's working because I can attest to. That's what I can attest to. That's what something like this can attest to, is the fact that even though I've had these huge losses, because of a few bad hiccups on risk management, I'm still coming out profitable. And these this is not an active, like, unfortunately I did not keep well enough active trades keep account of my active trades. I know it's working out even better than what it says on here because the accounts are higher than what I invested in them. And so, like I said, I have one at like $600, the other one's at 3 something, and then the other two are, one's at 150 and the other one's at I think 100. And then I just have the 2 trades, the one in the 600 and the one at the 200 one, that are sitting out there sort of in this loss state, but I have a plan. I have a plan to minimize that loss, and the minimization of loss for me has been the concept, the idea, and the application has been working. And so I'm not too concerned about the fact that they are, sitting at $100 drawdown or things like that, because I feel like if I manage it properly, I can get out of the 100 down drawdown, with the understanding that the $100 drawdown is most likely the max that I will lose. So I mean, it's not too bad. If I would decide to really cut ties and be done with it instead of trying to manage more, and just get into better trades, then I can do that as well. So going through that, been great. I'm just looking to now start taking over. I would like to take over consistently, like a bill. I'd like to take over, a car payment. I'd like to take over, car insurance, or the mortgage is a high one. The mortgage, I think we pay like $1,000, $900, whatever in this area in Charleston. I'd love to be able to pull out $900 consistently, to take over that bill. But it's a process. And so what I'd like to do, as I was talking about earlier, I would like to be able to go back through all of my mentors, because I still keep up in track with everything that's going on with each and every one of them, and basically give the lessons learned that I got from their courses, as well as just some value and insight, as anybody else who's coming into this market and is trying to learn this trade. You have to make it your own. You have to figure out for yourself what works for you. I've gone through mentors who are heavy into indicators and it works for them. I've gone to mentors who are completely and totally no indicators and it works for them. I've gone through mentors who very, very rule strict structured, and it works. And I've gone through mentors who are like, don't use rules. It's more fluid and dynamic, and that works. I've gone through some who are high risk, equal reward. I've gone through some who are high reward, less risk. I've gone through 1 and 1s, 1 and 2s, 1 to 4s, 1 to 7s, 1 to 29s. And, they're making it work. And so there's a lot of them I can vouch for, because I've put in the hard work to take their course, take their stuff and put it into practice, and realize, okay, yes, it works, but for some reason it doesn't fit me. And that's really what it's about. You have to know what fits you, because this market, this skill set is very much an art. You have to find what works for you. You have to find your medium. Not all of us are going to be pencil drawers. Not all of us are going to be able to do things with paint brushes, and some of us you're going to use spray cans. Some of us are going to be crayons, and we're going to make some beautiful masterpieces. But you have to know what works for you. And so I want to share the things that I've learned from these ones. So hopefully, if any of that resonates with any of you, you can be like, okay, well, let me go and try them versus trying to just shoot in the dark and figure out which works for me. I will give you my insight from nobody who's I'm not affiliated with any of these people who are teaching, any of these mentors, any of these products, courses, whatever. I'm not affiliated with any of them, but I can give my honest feedback on how it's helped me and molded me into who I am now, which I feel like I have really stepped greater into my area now and making it work, than I was, 2 years ago. And I feel more confident 4 years in, and I've been doing really well. I've been doing really, really well. And, not enough to say that I'm a full-time trader. That would be a lovely thing. But right now, like, I have a job. I have a 9-to-5 job that pays my bills, and I love my job. It's great. But I would also love the freedom of being able to trade from anywhere, to go on travels with the family, and a couple hours a day, or the way I have it set right now is just I'm waiting for an alert to go off, and I go and check the market, and then I get in, if I decide to get in. And every now and then I have to manage something, maybe an hour or so out of the day. And that's been really, really nice. And so I've been working towards keeping that consistent. And so this is where it's like trying to keep up on recording this and getting it up is like, I'm not, the days that I'm usually at the computer, I am working my 9 to 5. Anything outside of that, and I'm generally away with the family, outside shooting hoops, playing frisbee golf, watching movies, taking walks. I mean, we yesterday we went, one of my boys is into boxing, and it was supposed to be his first amateur fight. His opponent backed out, but we did that for all day, and that was a blast. And so it's like, I want to do all those things and not be tied to the computer. And so trying to make this work, And so that's what, my encouragement to anybody who is trying to make this work is you got to make it work. So you got to find out what works for you, and fit it to your life. Understand that there is a process, there is a learning curve that you've got to get over. There is dedication that you do have to put in. There are going to be some sacrifices that you might have to make. You might have to get up earlier than everybody else just so you can have a little bit of time to get in the right mindset and dig into whatever you're trying to learn. You might have to stay up a little bit later. You might have to get up in the middle of the night, and do things like that. But it's all worth it in the end. So I thank you guys for joining. I wish you guys the best if you guys are going down this career path or in this trade set. As always, just be blessed, and if you have any questions, reach out, and I'll be happy to share. So with that being said, take care.